Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome to those of you who are joining us online this morning. I'm Reverend Mary Marie Shelton. I'm the community spiritual leader here, and as usual, I am delighted to welcome you all. So I want to encourage you now to welcome each other. Go ahead and stand up, walk around, say hi, introduce yourselves to anybody you don't know, and make each other welcome. Spread the love so that it vibrates out to the parking lot and all around the fields around us. And look for folks you don't know. Those of you at home, take a moment, give yourself another cup of coffee or tea, give yourself a hug, and know that this is your morning. We will all be right back in just a moment with the opening song. So take a breath, and we'll be right back. We have Gary Lynn Floyd on video with us this morning. He always enjoys Golden Gate. You know, he was one of the people who did the concert for our anniversary, along with Karen Drucker last year in February. And he always loves doing music for Golden Gate. I would love to get him into the room, but it's a little bit challenging to get him over here. He's the artist in residence at the Center for Spiritual Living in Reno. And he's won all kinds of awards. He does co-writing of a lot of his songs with Karen Drucker and other people that we know. And so GaryLynnFloyd.com, you can find out everything you need to know about Gary right there. So we're going to sing a song with him this morning that's very easy. I'm going to invite you to stand and sing. It's called I'm So Grateful I'm Alive.
Good morning, Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Gary Lynn Floyd here with you again this morning. I'm so glad to be back with you today. I hope you'll sing this song with me. We're going to start with the chorus. It's called I'm So Grateful I'm Alive. It goes like this. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. Sing that with me. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. Beautiful. So grateful. We'll come back to that. Here we go. Sunshine, your eyes, dewdrops, and dragonflies. Here we go, sing it with me. I'm so grateful I'm alive. 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 So grateful. Your hug, sweet kiss, holding hands in blind bliss. Sing it with me. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. Sing it like you mean it. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. So grateful. Your voice, waterfall, thrush song, coyote call. All right, let's lift it up together. Here we go. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. The shadows I conceal endeavor to reveal another part of me, embracing all that I perceive. Yeah. Cut grass, jasmine bloom, honeysuckle in your room. Oh yeah, I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. Lifting up in the room. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. Let's sing it a couple more times. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. One more time. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful I'm alive. So grateful. So grateful. Yeah. Awesome. You sound great this morning. Love you.
You do. You may be seated. So now that we've raised our voices, it's time to turn within and become centered for the morning celebration so that we're open to all of the music and the words and the guidance and ideas that come to us. So I'm going to call our morning practitioner, Lori Greer, up now to do the opening for us.
Yes, I'm so grateful I'm alive in this moment of pure, precious power. Turning within, I recognize and remember the one life that is endless, infinite, and forever and ever giving of itself into its creation. It is the thing that makes the honeysuckle bloom, makes the sky blue and the birds sing. It is the thing that created me and all of life. And it has the power to create endlessly and infinitely because it is creative, it is power, it is love, it is the impulse for life to be brought forth into this physical manifestation, this place where we get to live and move and have our being. And in this oneness, in this place of knowing that we are one with that creation, with that creator, we are one with the source of all that exists. And in fact, there is nothing beside it. There is nothing outside of it. It contains every person, plant, thing, form, all ideas, all inspiration, all order. The abundance and the prosperity that is experienced in this life is from that one source, and we are one with it. I am God in expression, and so is everything and everyone else. And so remembering this, I know that this day has within it infinite potential, possibilities for joy and new connections and for taking advantage of and making use of this power that created me. That thing that brought me into manifestation is available to me when I turn within and align with it. And so I invite each one to know this truth for themselves, that it is readily available. And so I claim and accept that we open our minds, we open our hearts, we open our spiritual eyes to see and our spiritual ears to hear and our spiritual heart to understand that it wants nothing more than to give itself completely and fully to us. And that each one of us, each one, through the power of my word, can claim and align in consciousness with the power and bring forth that greater good into my life, a life of service, a life of love, a life of connection, a life of pure being. And so I do that now, and I do that on behalf of all who are here and all who hear my voice and all beyond. And I claim and know that this is the truth of being. And as I align with this knowing that it is done in the mind of God, and it is brought into form, demonstrates as my life in amazing ways that I couldn't even imagine. So I give thanks for this. I give thanks for this service and for this day, and I simply release and let go, knowing that it is complete. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Laurie.
Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Not just a place to get into someday, far away. Be bold. It's something that you can tap into, a strength that'll help you to get through each day by faith. Oh, oh, behold, believe the kingdom of God is at hand, within each woman and man. Believe, receive the truth that is setting you free. The miracle in you released. Receive, oh, realize, open your eyes, behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Not just a place to get into someday, far away. Whoa, oh, be bold. It's something that you can tap into, a strength that'll help you to get through each day by faith. Oh, oh, behold. Somehow reach down inside you and find a love that's been there all the time. Somehow, right now, somebody's broken and sad. They need you to give what you have right now. Oh, realize, open your eyes, behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Is not just a place to get into someday, far away. Oh, oh, be bold. It's something that you can tap into, a strength that'll help you to get through each day by faith. Oh, oh, behold, behold, Oh, behold.
There's always such a lovely warmth with Gary. I'm always touched by his music, so it's lovely to have him here this morning. We continue with our theme for the year of a grand rising. That is a greeting among young African Americans. Grand rising. It's a wish for a wonderful experience and expression going forward. And so this month of June, we've been talking about holy boldness. For me, walking up this kind of staircase would be boldness, yeah. But there are lots of other ways that boldness can be expressed. And so I'm talking about the heroes of holy boldness today. And the ones that are on the screen are people that you're very aware of. You know, the Dalai Lama, who was exiled from his own country and has to do all of his work from India. Mother Teresa, who worked with lepers and the untouchables in India right up into her last breath. And of course, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who stood for nonviolence, peaceful resistance, freedom and justice and equality for everyone everywhere. And to do any of those things requires a certain level of boldness that may not be automatically easy to come by. I don't think that any one of them took upon themselves what was theirs to do in a cavalier kind of way. To meet that kind of challenge that you're called to requires stepping up into something you don't really know how to do and you're not sure what the reaction will be. Now, I want you to think about your own life for a moment, because I know that for every person around, there has been more than one moment where you needed to make a choice. And whether the choice was to go forward or not, you face that choice point where to go forward is a risk. You have to face the fact that you're dealing with an addiction, your own or somebody else's, or you have to confront somebody about that, or you have to confront somebody you love about any kind of behavior that is problematic in their lives, and you know they don't want to hear it. You might have to speak up or be a whistleblower in your work, or to your boss, or to somebody higher up. Any of the times that we face something that requires us to be visible and stand out can be scary because we don't know what the result will be. Many years ago, as a new minister, I remember there was something going on in my church that was affecting my staff and my practitioners and my board, and I really knew that I had to say something about it. So I called the board together, particularly. I don't think I had practitioners in that meeting, but I called the board together. Everybody was there except the person who needed to hear it the most, but they were all there. And I remember saying to Paulette's son, she and her husband used to facilitate our New Thought Personal Growth Training on course. I remember saying to Paulette, what happens if I say this to them in this meeting and they all quit? My whole board. She said, then honey, you get yourself a new board. So I sat them down and I said, no more triangular conversations. If you have an issue with somebody, you go to them first, after you pray. I don't want to hear any more of this stuff floating around, no parking lot conversations in little groups. No, we're not having that anymore. And much to my relief and amazement, people came to me afterwards and said, thank you for saying something. No, thank you for stepping forward, for being the minister, for being the leader. That's just not fun. You know, that when you stand up before you're just about to say something like that to someone or to a group of people, there's something in your head probably screaming, don't do it. You know, this is scary. But we do when we need to. Now, this is a story about a family taking careful care to prepare for something so that no mistakes would be made. J.P. Morgan, well, this is actually not a true story, but I still love it anyway. J.P. Morgan, who was a U.S. financier and investment banker, he suffered, this is true, he suffered from an inherited skin disease called rhinophyma, which gave him a big bulbous Cyrano nose with veins showing and, not a pretty thing. So a great story about him is that when Anne Morrow Lindbergh was a little girl, her mother invited him to tea one day because Anne's father, Dwight Morrow, was a partner at Morgan's Bank, and they wanted to meet the great man and, have him over for tea. So they coached Anne very carefully in advance not to stare at or mention his nose. And the appointed day arrived, and Mrs. Morrow and Mr. Morgan sat on the sofa by the tea tray. And Anne came in and said, "Good afternoon." But she did not look at Mr. Morgan's nose, said nothing about it, and then she left the room. And her mother had a great sigh of relief that, disaster had been averted, and she turned her attention to the tea and to Mr. Morgan and said, "Mr. Morgan, do you take one lump or two in your nose?" The moment after you do something like that, when there's this pause, and then it's like an electric shock. The moment hits you of, oh no, humiliation and embarrassment over saying something that you didn't intend to have escape from your mouth. Yes, everybody's experienced that too. So sometimes in the best of times when we're trying to do our best, we have to be bold about recovering from something like that. I mean, you can pretend you didn't say it, but really, how do you get away with that? You kind of have to address what you've done, and that's more embarrassing still. So in order to be really a hero of holy boldness, we have to recognize first that we're essentially coded with that ability and with the necessity of expressing that ability. But in order to claim it and do it consciously, we require both faith and courage. The faith gives us the support and strength to make the choice to do something because we know that God has our back, essentially. The universe is supporting us in this decision that we're making to make a good decision and carry it out well. Then we need the courage to actually step forward and do it, to express if we're artists, if we're sports figures, if we're, somebody said to Meryl Streep once when she was getting ready to do a movie, and everybody that was going to work with her was nervous about working with her. And the interviewer said to her, "Well, you're always the best at everything that you do. And so I don't know why you would be nervous about this at all." And she said, "Do you think that makes it easier?" Because she had her own reputation to live up to also. And you know what a big deal it would be if Meryl Streep did something really badly. Oh my goodness, right? So even though that seems minor compared to the other kinds of boldness that we need to have sometimes in our lives, that moment of stepping out in courage feels the same. And we want to, in order to do this, we have to begin where we are. And so sometimes we think, well, I'll do it when I'm, fill in the blank, when I'm not as busy, when I'm feeling stronger or healthier, when I have more time, after the kids go to college, or once I retire, or whatever it might be. I'll do that. I can do that, but I'm not doing it now. But the idea of boldness is that when we're called to that place of hesitancy and fear, usually we're facing the moment when we need to make the decision. We may not need to act on it at that moment yet, but we need to make a decision to do it and when to do it. In 2 Corinthians, St. Paul wrote, For we walk by faith, not by sight. In other words, the power of knowing that beyond all of the apparent visible conditions, circumstances, situations, and however complicated they may be, that there is something supporting us. And having that faith gives us more strength and energy and courage than maybe we realized we even had. Brené Brown said, faith is a place of mystery where we find the courage to believe in what we cannot see and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty. Uncertainty travels with us every day of our lives. It's not something that we move through. Things are always changing physically. As long as we're in the physical world, things are constantly changing. My daughter-in-law is expecting a baby in early September. And one of the things that we've talked about is the fact that if you're pregnant, as soon as you get used to what your body is up to, it changes. It's a constantly changing process. And after the baby is born, when they start to have solid food, they have favorites. You give them their favorite one day and they spit it out. You never know what's going to happen next. And that's really the truth about our lives. It is all uncertainty, but we comfort ourselves with what is familiar, with what is repeated, with what we already know how to do, and kind of set aside the unknown a little bit to keep it at bay. So we stay within a certain range of comfort a lot of the time. But life has a tendency to beckon us out of that comfort zone. Jimmy Carter, who is one of my heroes, said, I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. I'm free to choose what that something is. And the something I've chosen is my faith. Now, my faith goes beyond theology and religion and requires considerable work and effort. My faith demands, this is not optional, he says, my faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I am, whenever I can, for as long as I can, with whatever I have, to try to make a difference. That philosophy of life is plain in the way that he lives his life. That he is called to do whatever he can in the moment that he's there, wherever he is, whatever's going on, to do his best with his skills and abilities, what he has available in that moment to make a difference. And just sitting in your chair right now, you have a moment to make a difference. Imagine that in this room, we're generating an awareness of love. And that awareness, and you at home as well, that we're generating together as a congregation in many places, we're generating together an awareness of love, not only around us, but also within us. Now, if we have that, what are we going to do with what we've got? Well, let's imagine that we're sending it out into the lobby for Jessica. We're sending it out into the park and the fields out there for the birds and the little creepy crawlies and the people out there, and into the restrooms in the around the park, and into the parking lot, into the little restaurant across the street over here, so that all of this community center and its grounds are vibrating with love that is there simply because of our awareness of love and our willingness to expand our expression of it energetically, right here, right now. Imagine just extending it to the person next to you, or in front of you, or behind you, just extending love to them. Imagine yourself as a sponge, receiving and absorbing that love, but never using it up. This is something we can always do in any moment, without a word, just by remembering. When we know that life itself beckons to us, it attracts our boldness. It causes us to take a leap of faith, right? To take an action where we don't know where we're going to land, right? It might be better, maybe not. We're going from what is familiar to us, or we think it is, to what is definitely unfamiliar and unknown. And of course, in this instance, where this fish is headed is so much richer an environment than where it was. But that fish in the air where it doesn't belong, not in the water where it would be comfortable, it doesn't really know what that's going to be like when it lands, if it even makes it into the other fishbowl. Looks like he will, of course, but we don't know. The Dalai Lama said, knowing, that life supports us, he said, I find hope in the darkest days and focus in the brightest. Someone else's action should not determine your response. And another place he says, there's only one important point you must keep in your mind and let it be your guide. No matter what people call you, you are just who you are. Keep to this truth. Imagine him being able to say that when he has the government of China against him. What a stand that must be. Now, I've been in the presence of the Dalai Lama, and I have to tell you, he's the most relaxed, easy person. It's amazing. At one point in an audience with 400 people, somebody asked him, and I was there, somebody asked him a question. I don't remember what the question was now. He thought about it for a moment, said, I don't know. The Dalai Lama could say, I don't know. Do you know how many people have a hard time saying they don't know something? Here we have a spiritual or a philosophical, he wouldn't consider himself a religious leader, but he leads this spiritual community. I don't know. It gives us all the courage to recognize that sometimes we just don't know. And Mother Teresa said, do not wait for leaders. Do it alone, person to person. We must never be afraid to be a sign of contradiction to the world. She has gone to places where there were wars in her lifetime, where she was dedicated to getting across the field of battle to help people who were in a particular area. And so she went to the leaders and said, we need a ceasefire so that my nuns and I can help those people. And the leader said, I'm sorry, Mother Teresa, that's not possible. We're in the midst of this. There's no way to have a truce. Yes, I know, she said, and we need to have a truce so that we can get across to those people to help those people over there. She was relentless, kind, soft-spoken, immovable. They had a ceasefire. It is an amazing thing, the result that comes about. It did not need to arise out of anger or resistance or force. It was simply persistently stating what was needed, simply laying it before somebody who could do something about it with persistence. I would imagine there are times she felt frightened about what she needed to say or where she needed to go or what she needed to do. But she never seemed to experience that. I don't think it's because she was never afraid. I think it's because she was relying on her faith and courage. Martin Luther King Jr. led marches where people, including him, were severely beaten, where he was jailed, where he was treated worse than bad. And even from the Birmingham jail, he wrote a letter to other ministers in Birmingham trying to call them forward. That could have been a big risk for him to send that out. To meet violence with nonviolence, to meet anger and hatred with love. He said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. We can be very brave in thinking about or talking to other people about what we would do if we were in that situation, but we don't truly know what we really would do unless we face that situation. So it's always easier to see what somebody could do or maybe should do from our armchair perspective. Not so much so when we're the one in the middle. He also said there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular. But he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. My obligation is to do the right thing. The rest is in God's hands. Sounds a little bit like his fellow Baptist, Jimmy Carter. So life supports us. It entices us. It seduces us toward boldness, toward taking a step outside our comfort zone, toward taking a risk. It welcomes it and supports us in that when we do it. Even if the results look bad, we're still completely supported by the universe in the outcome and in making good choices around the outcome. Certainly, when they were crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge and they were all getting beaten up in the marches down south, that wasn't looking like a really good result. And yet Martin Luther King Jr. probably did more for the cause of advancement, of equity and equality than anybody else. John Anster was an Irish poet who was inspired by Goethe's Faust. And so he did a very poetic translation of it, which wasn't exactly the words that Goethe used. And so with thanks to Faust, he wrote this: what you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And I have at home a little brass sign thing that somebody gave me that I have hanging up on a lamp near where I do my meditations, and it says something like, be bold and mystical forces will come to your aid. I love that. Be bold and the forces of the universe will come to your aid. I do believe that we are coded to be bold. We are coded to succeed in our expansion of the soul. I think that it's not just human beings that are coded in this way, it's everything that lives. Have you ever seen a weed poking up through a little tiny crack in the cement with a flower on it? For heaven's sakes, that's bold. When you see little tiny sea turtles that have just hatched, and they're way up on the beach, and they have to get their way all the way down to the ocean that they have no memory of and have never been in, they do it. And lots of them get eaten and picked off on their way down there. That's why there are so many that hatch. But they make it, a lot of them make it all the way to the water. Now what do? They're in the water, someplace they've never been before. Fish return to where they were hatched to spawn. Salmon are especially known for this. And they will die trying to get back there to that place. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they give up when it gets really hard? It's instinct, yes. But that instinct is something bold within them that calls them to go forward no matter how difficult it is or what the danger is. When a chick works to get out of the shell, it uses up something like 90% of its body weight. Think of the work it takes to break a shell open and try and get out of it. And then they have to learn to fly. I used to think birds just flew. When the time came, they just flew. No, that doesn't happen. The mother bird, baby birds are very motivated by food. The mother bird comes with the food, but she stands out on the limb so that they have to get out of the nest to come and get the food. And she's far enough away that they fall and they hit the ground because they don't know what to do, right? I imagine that she must pick them up in her claws and take them back up to the nest and feed them. The next time she does it, why do they leave the nest, right? They know what could happen. Their little heads are heavy. So they come out again, and they fall again, and they flap like mad, because they know what's coming as they start to fall. They may or may not fly that time, but maybe it eases the landing a little bit. And eventually, they actually fly. Why would they keep on trying? A little child will be determined to walk, no matter how many times they fall down or how much time it takes. They rehearse speaking over and over and over again. They respond to our delight when they get an actual word out. Why do they keep trying? This is not an easy thing to do. There's something in us that is coded to do that. What happens, though, is as we go to school and as we grow up and we face challenges in our lives and we become aware of all of our emotions, our fear, our embarrassment, our impulsiveness or our anger or our attractions or our desires for revenge or to be made right or made whole. All those things pull us this way and that way, and we can start to tamp down that natural impulse to go forward and take that next step. William Hutchinson Murray was a mountaineer. He wrote a book called The Scottish Himalayan Expedition that came out in 1951. He said, until one is committed, there's hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events, issues from the decision raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no one could have dreamt would come his way. This is the support that comes to us, the welcome from the universe when we take that step, when we're willing. See, the truth is we're all heroes of holy boldness. We've already done it in our lives. We need to remember the times that we have so that when we face those moments that are really scary, because no matter how old you get, they're always there, then we want to remember, we've done it before. I did this before. I got through something like this before, and guess what? It didn't kill me. I may not have known that originally, but I know it now. So I don't have that excuse. I can do this again. And that's why the opportunities keep showing up, because the universe wants to set us more and more free. But we have to take the step. We're the only ones that can take the step that put us there. Two things I want to share with you, and then I'll wrap up. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote in Words That Heal Today, Jesus was either the great exception or the great example. If he were the great exception, there is little we can do other than admire the spiritual altitude from which he spoke. If he were the great example, we should follow his teaching and seek to make it practical in our everyday living. He chose to think of himself as the great example, saying that what he did, we too can do if we follow the same rules, if we believe in God and have faith. And so I want to tell you a story about a man named Bishop Carlton Pearson. Now, Bishop Pearson was I don't know where I put that, so I'll just tell it to you. Bishop Carlton Pearson was a graduate of Oral Roberts University. He was personally trained even by Oral Roberts. He sang in the choir there. He was at one time the leader of a church in Tulsa, an evangelical church in Tulsa that had 6,000 people attending. Not members attending every week, 6,000 people. And he was a part of the evangelical group of ministers, very highly prized evangelical bishops, very respected. And he watched a documentary on television about the genocide in Rwanda. And he was thinking about his own church's teaching that those who were not Christian went to hell rather than to heaven. And it just did not compute to him. And in that moment, he had a spiritual awakening. He said he had an epiphany from God, that there was no hell, that God was love, that God wanted a relationship with all of humanity, with everyone, Jew, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, LGBTQIA folks, people in jail, people addicted, anybody who had ever been oppressed anywhere for any reason or rejected by the church, that God wanted connection with all of them. He considered this to be an awakening of tremendous good news. He called it the gospel of inclusion, and he began to preach about it. And he was thrown out as a heretic. His church, his own large congregation, rejected him. The group of evangelical bishops kicked him out as a heretic. He was left adrift with this awakening, with this awareness. And so he continued to speak about it and teach about it, and he began to get different folks listening to him. In fact, in 2018, Netflix released a movie about him and his ministry called Come Sunday. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2018, and it was released in April of 2018. And Chiwetel Ejiofor played him, and Martin Sheen played Oral Roberts. I think Martin Sheen might be shorter than Oral Roberts, but let's not quibble. It's a movie you can still see on Netflix, I think. Come Sunday, it's called. This is a man who had to stand in a place of rejection and humiliation and still hold fast to what he believed, to his faith and to his courage. And that brought his story forward to everybody that subscribes to Netflix, that's a lot of people, to see if they choose to. We ourselves have moments in our lives where we can choose to be brave and step into that moment. It may not be happening in your life right now. Hallelujah. But if it is, or when it is, know that I know with you, with the infinite, that you have within you exactly what you need to meet that challenge with groundedness and faith and courage. Namaste. Thank you. I want to invite you now to stand. First we're going to anchor this in prayer, and then we'll stand and do the morning affirmation. So let's turn within, and those of you at home as well. Breathe in the love, and then breathe out love. We inspire divine presence. We exhale divine presence. It's all we are. It's all there is. It's all we can receive and all we can produce. So we bless now everything coming toward us this week that we meet, every task, every person, any challenges or opportunities. We meet them graciously with love, anchored in faith, shored up by the support of the universe, with the courage we were naturally born with. We allow it to be strengthened through use, just as our faith grows through use. And we know that everyone we come into contact with or think about this week, everyone who thinks about us, everyone who's ever encountered us, receives a blessing. All those in our minds and hearts now, those we love and those we don't so much, we extend that loving blessing outward to every one of them without exception. And we know too that as all that we send out also returns to us in this reciprocal universe, that we receive tremendous blessing simply by knowing and letting it in. This is the truth of who we are, and we're grateful to be reminded of it now. We let this prayer go into the law, into the creative energy of the universe, and into the heart of God, where it always has been the truth about us. We just let this prayer go now and let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Now I invite you to stand and join me in the morning affirmation. Together. I'm inspired by those who've come before me and lived in holy boldness. These examples reveal the potential in me too. I am blessed to come after them, reassured that I can choose to live from holy boldness as well. And so it is. You may be seated. We come into our sacred giving time now. If you are at home and you want to make an offering to Golden Gate, we'd love to receive it. You can text an offering to the number on the screen. Just text the dollar amount to that number and then follow the steps from there. Those of us here, if you're here for the first time today, your presence with us here is your gift. And I'll say more about that in just a little while, but we want to bless each other and ourselves as well as the gifts we're bringing, and any gift that has been given to Golden Gate in this past week by you or somebody else. So we do this by saying this giving affirmation together. And as we do so, I'm going to invite you to hold your hands with your offering, if you have one, over your heart, blessing it with generosity. And if you're not giving something physically today, still put your hands over your heart so that you also are receiving that blessing as we say, "This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time." And so it is. Go ahead.
Every step is holy. Every breath is life. Every moment precious when held up to the light. Every heart connected, each the face of God. Grace has shown me every step is holy. Every step is holy. Every breath is life. Every moment precious when held up to the light. Every heart connected, each the face of God. Grace has shown me every step is holy, holy. holy. Everyone, every breath, every step is holy. Every step is holy. Every step is holy. Every step is holy. Every step is holy.
And I should tell you that song he wrote with Karen Drucker. So now, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we do, all of us together, bless this offering and send it out into the world to encourage boldness. And so it is. If you're with us for the first time this morning, there's a table right back behind this section. That's our welcome table. It has handouts on it. Feel free to take any that appeal to you, and be sure you get a welcome packet. These are little white envelopes, and inside there's a blue card. If you fill that out and turn it into Galen, who's standing back there right now, one of our licensed prayer practitioners, she's going to give you a little gift, which is a little book called Nourishing Thoughts. It's easy to carry around with you, and it gives you little affirmations of encouragement depending on what's going on in your life right now. That is both our thank you for being here and our invitation to you to come back and be with us often. And also I want to acknowledge everybody who did the work of setting up the room and getting ready for us this morning. And I especially want to draw your attention to the corners of the room where you see we have licensed practitioners in their stoles sitting and holding the high watch for us throughout the service. Their purpose is to assist us in consciousness, to allow us to be as receptive as possible to the message that the infinite has for us. In the music, in where we're sitting, in the message, whatever it might be, but to be open and available to it. And so you might take a moment to find one of them and thank them this morning for their sacred service. Let's acknowledge everyone who set up and helped this morning. As you know, many of you know, our beloved prayer practitioner, Suruda, made her transition a couple of weeks ago. And her family is doing a private ceremony, just small, at the end of June. But we will do a ceremony here for Sue, probably late August, early September. And I believe, if he can, that our founder, Reverend Dr. Lloyd Tupper, will come and do that with me. In the meanwhile now, Davia and Mika, Sue's two daughters, would really benefit from your prayers, your cards, your phone calls, your greetings, your condolences, your flowers, anything like that. And I'm going to give you the address. I only have Sue's, but I think it will get to them just fine. It is 314 San Rafael Avenue in Belvedere, California. 314 San Rafael Avenue in Belvedere, California. And the zip is 94920. So I know that they would really now love to receive your condolences. They're ready for that. And by the way, when we do this service for Sue in the fall, we're going to tell you some of her backstory that you may not know. She was an amazing human being. We will not see her like again, but we will definitely miss her. And what a deep gift she gave to us here at Golden Gate with everything she did. I want to let you know one more time, of course, that some of our favorite musicians are shepherding, along with a minister that I don't know, I think she might be a unity minister, a cruise to Alaska in August of 2025. It's going to be Michael Gott, who now he was the music director at Dallas Center for Spiritual Living's beautiful voice. He's now the senior minister of Unity in Houston. He'll be there with Karen Drucker and Gary Lynn Floyd and Eddie Watkins Jr. So that's going to be really quite something. And also, one of the things we've talked about in our Leadership Council strategic planning is that perhaps it's time for us as a congregation to do some sacred travel. So I had a long conversation with Reverend Karen Fry. She and Reverend Dr. Petra Weldes own a company called Spirit Tours. And there is a deeply spiritual aspect infused into it. So you can bring anybody with you on one of these trips. It can be a friend or a neighbor or a relative. There's only one prerequisite, and that is that no one is excused from spiritual practice. That everybody does together as a community. And the conversation that I had with Karen, she said, Bali is the most accessible, easy for everybody. It's flat, it's beautiful. So that's one that we might consider doing. These are all around the fall of 2025 to give us plenty of time. Bhutan, she said they haven't been to Bhutan in quite a while, and some of the people that they work with there were really encouraging them to come back. So she said, maybe if your congregation is interested, that might be a place for us to go. And they're doing a New England New Thought tour this fall. Now, going to New England during leaf peeping season is pretty amazing. Boston is amazing because of all the founding father stuff that's there. But Concord, Massachusetts is also where Ralph Waldo Emerson lived. So looking at the history of New Thought, the original Science of Mind church, first church, is in Boston. I mean, not Science of Mind, I mean Christian Science. That's sort of a peripheral, but it's related to us. So that's the New England area. I mean, Ernest Holmes was born in Maine. The New England area is where New Thought got started. And so this is going to be a beautiful tour. It goes to Boston, New Hampshire, and so on. I want to know from you, and there's no rush on this, if you're interested in this at all. Because if you are, we're going to set up a Zoom meeting where Karen can talk about all these things, and we can see where we want to go, and everybody can ask any questions that they might have. So let me know after the service if you're interested in something like this. We would have plenty of time to set it up and pay for it and get the word out, because it wouldn't be until 2025 in that fall, all right? I know that was a long announcement, but I want to let you know. All right, now I always thank everybody who helped us set everything up on Sunday. They set up the chairs. They get the treats ready to come out after the service. They set up the information table, the activity table, the practitioner table, the sound, all of the live streaming, the altar. None of this is here. None of it lives here. It's all gets stored and put away, or we cart it back to the office. And then it comes back every week. It's church in a box. When you come in the door on Sunday, you're greeted by the Sunday team that does that work. They greet you, they're happy to see you, they give you your bulletin and any handouts that day, and they make sure that the offering is received, they make sure the treats come out and go back and get cleaned up. Right now, we are really welcoming, wanting, encouraging, requesting, exhorting people to sign up to help on those Sunday teams. It's only once a month. You do need to come early, but hey, once a month. And so if you're interested in that, you can talk to Linda or Paula. These two gals have been doing this for a long time. Paula is the head of all the Sunday teams. They can tell you everything you need to know. And I don't know if we have a sign-up sheet. Do you know, Paula? Do we have a sign-up sheet? Okay, so grab Paula and tell her I'm in, and let her know what Sunday you might be available for. We would love that. Also, two things coming up. We're going to have a town hall meeting on the last Sunday in July. So that'll give you time to get it on your calendar. We want to talk to you about everything that's going on, and we want to get your feedback about a few things. It will only be about an hour long. So we're not serving lunch or anything, fill up on the snacks and then come and sit and let's have a conversation. It will be both in the room and on Zoom following the Sunday celebration that morning. And the first Sunday in August, we're going to have our summer picnic. And that, of course, will be out here in the park. So we'll be putting out a sign-up sheet before too much longer for what you want to bring to share with folks for the picnic. And more details will be coming about that. And then finally, I want to just say, you all received this morning this music director job description, because we're now ready to put the word out. We want to encourage you to post this anywhere you see a bulletin board where it might be welcome. Any place that you know musicians hang out, coffee houses, little bars, any place that has bulletin boards where musicians might see it, yoga studios, I don't know, anywhere. Hand it to musicians that you know. Take it to music programs at universities. Just get it out there, okay? We're going to post it on LinkedIn. We're going to put it out, and we're going to get it onto our website and all that. But you are our people on the ground to help start that process, all right? And then lastly, remember prayer. If you don't remember anything else, remember prayer. You can always put a request in the prayer box or stop after the service to receive a prayer from one of our on-duty prayer practitioners. Never go away with a heavy heart. Always seek out one of them for prayer. So I'm going to invite our licensed prayer practitioners now to surround the room. And we join together in consciousness in doing this chamber of prayer for you, where all of us pray at once, not in unison, but you'll hear us. Don't try to catch what we're saying. Just let the blessings flow in. Let's begin in this moment. This. And so it is. And one last thing I want to say to you before we stand for the closing blessing and song. Our dear member, Stan Stefancic, is in the process of making his transition. He went into hospice earlier this week, and one of the things he was trying to decide is whether it was time to stop the dialysis. And he made that decision a few days ago, and he's declining very, very rapidly now. His family is with him. This is a man who also had an extraordinary life. So we hold him in great love and peace as he prepares to cross over and know that he does so peacefully and in complete love and safety. Please stand and join us now for the closing blessing and song. As we say together, I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness, for Spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is. Here's Gary.
In the name of love, with a heart of grace, overflow in us, and decorate this place as it is below, so it is above. May we always stand in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one, in the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song, all as love, in the name of love. In the name of love, may we always be seeking out the best until we all are free, living in a world we've been dreaming of, where we stand as one in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one, in the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song, all as one, in the name of love. In the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one, in the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song, all as one, in the name of love. Sing it with me. In the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love. Sing that last line again. In the name of love. Sing it again. In the name of love. One more time. In the name of love. I love you, Golden Gate. See you soon.